The Philadelphia Eagles have nothing officially to do with this round, but that won't stop me from doing reconnaissance. What's up? It's your boy Cintron coming back at you with another news video, and today we're doing some analysis. We're going to be looking at each of the potential 4 Eagles opponents that would come to us in the divisional round. So it could be either the number 7 slotted Seattle Seahawks, the number 6 slotted New York Giants, the number 5 slotted Dallas Cowboys, or the number 4 slotted Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seattle will have to beat the 49ers just, to advance, and they will knock them off. I welcome that favor. The New York Giants would be beating the Vikings, who couldn't face us as well. The Dallas Cowboys will be playing the Bucs, so those two are directly correlated. So either one of those win, we could be facing either one of them. But the other 2 matches are one-sided. We cannot face them since they're ranked at 2 and 3 respectively. But I like the Eagles in each one of these matchups for different reasons. And we're just going to highlight some matchups that are favorable and weaknesses that we can exploit. Because I don't see any of those teams standing up to us at home. And with Lane Johnson slated to play, Monte Maddox, I heard some news that he's not most likely going to play until the championship round if we were to make it that far. And then even then, for me, I'm thinking Super Bowl. You want to save him for that. He'd have a lot of time off, and he'd be able to thoroughly get some rest and be scheduled to play in that game with the higher probability of actually appearing. So first, let's look at, we'll start from the bottom. Let's look at the Seahawks. They had a nice season, to get into the playoffs. Not above average, good, solid. I'd say solid at best. But some, good spots here and there. But I would say the threat from them is obviously their offense. Their defense took a hit with Jordan Brooks tearing his ACL, maybe his MCL as well. And their leading tackler, a dynamic second-round player they drafted, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. And, he filled that gap for, Bobby Wagner. Him leaving for greener pastures, going to the LA Rams. But more than adequate replacement. Flying all over the field on defense. But that takes a punch out of their attack, him coordinating, being like the quarterback of the defense there. And they still have some solid players like Quandre Diggs off roaming in the secondary, but not a lot of bark there on that side. The offense is where we want to look out because they have those twin go-getters and Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, who should have been a fucking Eagle, but how he fucked that one up. But we have AJ Brown. He have his teammate from Ole Miss here. I'm sure those two would love to meet in the playoffs, but it'd be all business on the field. But that would be the danger there. Even though we have 2 cornerbacks that match up with them somewhat, but DK would be physically overwhelming for either corner, especially for Slay and Bradbury as well, with the speed that he possesses at that freaking size, 6'4", running a 4.33. Just ridiculous. But I would like to believe that we would stymie that by being able to get to the quarterback. Now, the Seahawks have made upgrades to their line. The bookend tackles, I think they're both rookies, but they're both playing spectacularly, but they are just rookies. And our defensive line is just monstrous, including edge rusher with Hassan Reddick. I believe it's just overwhelmed the offense. And Geno, while he's had a career best season, I just don't think he'd be able to stand up to that pass rush for 4 quarters. So I would give us the advantage in that match. Not saying we'll beat them handily, but we would outlast and out-edge them. Now, moving on to the New York Giants, this is obviously a divisional opponent. So it's a little bit different playing them a 3rd time. There will be no love lost between the two, as well as no secrets. They know us, we know them. But we drubbed the crap out of them, 48-22, at home for them. And I would like to believe it would be somewhere in between that match and the match we played to clinch the number 1 seed. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, his health was compromised, and it won't be 100% going into this match, even though it might be over 85 to 90 if he heals right, he heals quickly. But 2 weeks is still good enough, I think, to make him above solid, above average, more like the Jalen Hurts of old. So I don't think he would have many restrictions. So I would like us in that matchup, just, putting a hat on the hat, across the board. I think we would give the Eagles the matchup. And then they were injured coming into this one. They eat into the playoffs. The threat would be Saquon Barkley and then Daniel Jones taking off and running, but I believe we'll be able to contain that. They would unleash the offense and defensive shackles that we've been chaining ourselves with to hold back plays and hold back strategies and not conserve players, because this is the playoffs. It's win or go home. So I believe we have the advantage there as well. Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. Out of this bunch, I believe this is the toughest matchup for us. They just match up really well with us across the board, and like the Giants, this is another division rival that is playing against us a third time. So this one I think will be the tightest matchup. But you got to go with the leaders. And Hurts is taking care of the football relatively well. 22 touchdowns versus 6 interceptions. So, yeah, he hasn't been careless. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, Dak Prescott has 7 picks in a row. At least one in each game, going back to 7 consecutive matches. That's just ridiculous. That's a ridiculous streak to have, not one you should be proud to own. And you don't just fix that overnight. It just becomes a habit, habitual thing that you do. Not a good stat, obviously, not a good habit to have. But he's been pressing, he has been seeing all the field, and that's what the analysts have been saying. And you look at that attack, he is almost trusting his weapons too much. Noah Brown, who the fuck are you to be throwing at him like that? So, and I think an X factor in this game would be CJ Gardner-Johnson back for us. His versatility. He can play safety, his usual position this season, or he can play in the slot. And this is where he would be able to match up around their queen chess piece, CeeDee Lamb. That's what I'm searching for. His motion is like the key factor for them. He opens up prime matchups for everybody else by moving around the formation and attacking most likely the defense's weakest spot, their corner. When they played against us, Josiah Scott was targeted with regularity because he was the weakest defender out there and the easiest one to go after, as well as the size differential, experience gap. And he just doesn't have the talent right now to make up for what he's lacking. So made for a good matchup for the Cowboys. And a lot of those yards coming against him and out of that slot, it just was easy money for them. But CJ dropping there, him primarily having played as a slot corner up into the season, playing at safety in spots for the Saints, but really shining in that position, as well as shining in his new position this year. He would allow us to do so much. You'd ideally want to have Avante out there, and so you can have CJ free to be able to make plays on the ball from a safety position. But I will take CJ there to be able to hold CD in check. And once you take that away, those other spots, you're not really going to see those matchups be won throughout the day with regularity. Yeah, some spot catching here and there, but you trust that Darius Slay and Bradbury the fourth can hold down those positions and ideally lock up whoever they're going to be lined up against. And TY is not going to get behind us like that again. That was Gannon just playing the defense for the fucking sake of it. And this matchup, we most likely will throw lots of different strategies, lots of different matchups, chess piecing way more than we did. It was just really bland. It was very vanilla, conservative approach. And like I said, this is win and go home, so Gannon is not going to go the same route, death by 1,000 paper, because he will adjust faster, employ things that he didn't show in the regular season. And then his third matchup, it's all out or nothing. It's all in or nothing. So nothing to be held back. I just believe that we have the edge in so many departments. And then the O-line, we were able to get to Dak, sack him, I think, 6 times at least. So that's not our problem. Be able to disrupt the rhythm. And their defense, while nice, I think we will be able to handle them for most of the match. the one threat there. You know, obviously Michael Parsons and that edge wanting to attack that side, but I believe we give the young guy, if Lane is in there, we give the young guy Jack Driscoll some assistance, chip, and running backs chip as well off that side. Some offset offensive lineman alignments, just, you know, doing a lot of different things to negate that pass rush. But yeah, I think this will be the toughest matchup. And then going on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think they're also injured. Yeah, they had a lot of injuries suffered in that last game, which is just risky. Like, why are you playing people in the last game when you have nothing to play for? Risky strategy, and it didn't pay off for them. But they have TB12, and I just think, you know, we match up with them as well, pretty well across the board. There's nobody of note that really stands out, I think, on either side that really is a threat. You could say Mike Evans, but at this point in his career, I think he can be locked down by either one of those corners, and they can at least challenge him. But other than that, I don't see anybody really to be afraid of against them. And like I said, TB12, Tom Brady has the experience, and you know he's and always will be a juggernaut, but he can only do so much, and he still is 45 years old. Diminishing returns as far as his physical stats go. So I think we'd be able to limit him enough to shut them down somewhere along the line or just outlast them. So, but I like the Eagles in each one of those matchups. I don't see anybody really that is just a game wrecker that will come in and wreck their plans. Of course, you know, it's the NFL, lots of good players here and there, but nobody to be afraid of for me. Not like I would say like a player not to be afraid of, but to be very cautious and wary of, like on the 49ers. That defense is just something special. But that's another slot for another day. But on to some other smaller issues. Jalen Hurts, you know, he was sore after this game. And I was just, you know, from the lack of activity for the past 2 weeks, not attributed to him suffering further damage or setbacks. So it looks like, you know, like from a doctor's prognosis, from, you know, them assessing his injury from afar, this 2 weeks will do him some good, like I said earlier in the video. And he should be good to go. And yeah, he'll be effective, more than effective. Like he'll be not his usual self, but he'll be pretty effective. Be able to, you know, run and zone reads and be that fifth element to put the defense on pause, put them on TiVo. For you, a throwback for you kids that remember that. But he shouldn't be limited come the divisional round. And then on to Josh Sweat. It was scary when he went down with that injury, but he's already back at practice and looks like he will be a go for the divisional round game, and that's such a boon with us. And such a boon, in fact, because of what Robert Quinn showcased in the season finale of Dragon Ball Z. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles just playing. He looked spry. He's 32, but he looked like he dialed the clock back and asked Father Time for some extra time. Back to his 20s, man. He was, yeah, just Robert Quinn, like the Robert Quinn of last year. Just who terrorized the league for 18.5 sacks. So he's going to add a lot to that. And he's a depth player for us, not even a starter. So our pass rush is multifaceted, deep, and man, those guys are going to be fresh, and that's going to make all the difference, especially in a long playoff run that we're hoping to have. And lastly, Lane, he's also practicing. I was shocked at this, but just with that guy, he's such a beast. You never should be surprised by, you know, what he can do and the things that he can, the ability that he has. He can display out there on that football field. A former quarterback and D lineman, as well as I think as a tight end. So he sees things with a different eye, and his technique is sublime. So poetry in motion. But it doesn't look like he's a threat to worsen that injury. Of course, it'll be just pain tolerance. They're going to shoot him up with drugs, of course. Love those in the NFL, yeah. But it'll just have to be, you know, very heavily managed. I don't know if he'll be on a snap count, you know, have to play him on and off series. But a good point that an article brought up, you know, him and Jalen at halftime, and it's 20 to 25 minutes off, you know, just that cool down time. Their bodies are just going to get tight, and then they need to get back, you know, warmed up. So maybe they'll just do some light exercise during the halftime, but Don't want that to affect their stamina coming out into the half. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, man, that's our video for today. We still have the 10th pick and draft stuff to talk about, but so many other things for agency. But we'll get to that at a later date. So, man, I'm excited to watch this weekend. Just as a Philly fan with nothing at stake, just to kick my feet up and relax, enjoy a weekend of football. That doesn't involve us because we earned our. So anyways, get up out of here. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you like.
Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.